Hello traders, welcome to my video on the free MACD and ADX EA which I've developed for the MT4 trading platform. Please feel free to help yourself, download it using the link in the description below. In this video I'm just going to run through the EA and the various settings and different ways in which you can implement it within your trading strategy. So here you can see the MT4 platform with a chart where I've just run a visual backtest of the Expert Advisor. Okay, this is the strategy tester window here where I've selected the MACD and ADX EA symbol. I've chosen the euro dollar. You can use any trading instrument that you wish. So Forex, stocks, crypto, commodities, depending what your broker offers. For the model, I've chosen open prices only. This is the fastest testing model in the MT4 strategy tester. The indicators implemented within the EA do use open prices, so we can use this for an initial test. However, we will want to switch over to every tick testing, which uses intrabar prices to fine tune any settings that we find, because this can account for stop loss, take profit, break even, trailing stop, stuff that the open prices only will not necessarily pick up with that much accuracy. So use date, we've just chosen the last 4 to 5 months to start with here. Okay, generally speaking, the longer time frame that you test, the more reliable your settings can be, just because that shows you how a particular strategy could survive through various market conditions. Okay, time period, I've chosen the 1 hour chart. You can choose any you wish. I prefer the 1 hour charts and above, primarily due to the fact that there is, I find there's less noise, and we can catch some big market moves on them. Spread, I've set left on current, which is the current market spread. Just be wary that if you are planning on doing back testing on the weekend, the current spread will usually be much higher than is realistic, so you can always just amend that to something more suitable. So just go on to the EA properties now. So this is the name, the expert name. You can change that to anything you want or just leave it at the default. Pop-up alerts, if you set this to true, you'll receive an alert when there's a trading signal. This can be handy if you want to simultaneously track multiple charts. Perhaps you're running a euro dollar 1 hour chart, a pound dollar 4 hour chart, dollar franc daily chart, whatever it may be. You can just track 10 charts, 20 charts, 50 charts, as many as you like, and just receive a pop-up alert. So for example, if there's a signal on the dollar franc chart, you just get an alert buy signal, dollar franc daily chart, and then you can just switch to the chart and act accordingly. So the email alerts is the same. It just sends you the alert via email, and also SMS is the same. These are both handy if you're away from your platform and you want to get alerted, just so you can then fire up your platform and either place, manage a trade, just see what's going on in the market and decide how you're going to proceed from there. Saves you chart watching all day. Use trading when this is set to true. You won't just get an alert. The EA will also place and manage the trade on your behalf, so you don't have to do anything. You can combine these, so you can, for instance, have email alerts set to true and use trading to true. In this instance, EA will place the trade. You'll receive an email notification saying there's been a signal, and you can perhaps just check the trade, make sure everything's okay, amend the stop loss. Stop loss down here, it may be set to 50, and you might just want to change the stop loss to the recent high or recent low. Make sure it's a good trade. Okay. So we'll use trading to true, pop-up alerts, pulse. Days filter, self-explanatory. This is basically the days of the week that the EA can trade. Hours filter, again, self-explanatory. This is based on UTC, so you can set if you want to trade specific hours when it's busy when there's more liquidity on the currency pair that you're trading, or when it's quieter if you're perhaps using a scalping strategy. Magic number, also known as the order ID. This helps if you want to use another EA on the same MT4 platform, just to differentiate the trades between each other. In the broker settings here, you can set the maximum spread and maximum slippage in pips. Okay, so if anything, if the spread of slippage are higher than 5 pips, the EA just will not send a signal or place a trade. It's going to help you avoid unfavorable market conditions. Open orders limit. So this is the maximum number of open buy and or open sell orders that the EA can have at any time. This just helps you avoid duplicate entries if there are multiple signals. Lots, basically this is the position size. If you have use trading set to true, the position size the EA will place. If you have this use risk set to false, the EA will use the lots in the set in the lots field here. If you have use risk set to true, the EA will ignore the lot size here and instead it will calculate the lot size automatically for you based on the risk percent value that you set in the risk percent field. So in this instance, 2% risk per trade. Okay, stop loss and take profit, self-explanatory. Must be honest, I'm not a fan of fixed levels, but if we're gonna let it trade automatically for us, we do want an initial stop loss place, just say 50, and then we can always amend it to a recent high or recent low or wherever we prefer to place our stop loss after. Okay, same with take profit. Personally, I'd leave that on 0 just because I'm not gonna have a fixed 100 pip take profit when the market may give us 200, 300, even more pips. Likewise, I might want to exit a trade early if I see price turning around. Okay, and then close on opposite signal. You can set that true or false. Basically, if there's a signal in the opposite direction, the EA will close an open trade. Going back to the take profit, just to illustrate what I'm talking about. You can see here resistance, support. Nice breakout to the downside there. Strong level of support there. Big breakout down here. Had we have taken this breakout trade here and exited for 100 pips here, it's still a good trade. However, look, price goes over 300, almost 400 pips from this entry to here. Yeah, almost 400 pips. Had we exited on the 100 pip take profit, we would have been delighted, especially if the market turned around. But at the same time, if it continued and we didn't re-enter, we would have left a lot on the table. And every time you re-enter, you run the risk of getting your trade wrong or selling too low. Ideally, you want to get in as early as possible. If you do miss this entry here, you do always have another pullback here. Basically, just identify the trend, wait for a pullback and trade on a breakout. The EA can help you do that. How can it help you? Well, you can just use the MACD and the ADX to gauge when there's a trend and a pullback, which we'll get to in a minute. So that was the stop loss and take profit. Break even. Okay, so the break even, you set that to true. When this break even point is reached in pips, the EA will move the stop loss to break even. So if you have it set to 50, once the trade is 50 pips in profit, the EA will place the stop loss at break even. Trailing stop, if set to true, this is the distance that the EA will trail the stop loss from current price. So if it's set at 50, every 50 pips stop loss will be moved that distance from the price. It's a good way to lock in trades so winning trade doesn't turn into losing one, and maximize profits by moving the stop loss. Got to show you that visually on the chart. Say we had taken this breakout trade here. You see price drop around here, we could have put our stop loss above this high. Price drop here, stop loss above that high. Price continues to drop, stop loss above the high, 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 above the high. And we can maximize moves as much as possible above the high, above the high. We'd be taken out around here somewhere, but still we'd be good for, well over 300 pips. And you may have manually exited once you've seen these higher lows as well. So that's the break even and the trailing stop. The close percent, this is a percentage of the trade to close once the break even and trailing gap distances are reached. So you can close 20% of the trade if you want, let the rest run, and it will just keep closing 20% until the minimum lot to close value is reached. If you're trading one lot, minimum lots to close 0.2. Once it's closed the position, so there's only 0.2 lots left, it will just let those run. And if you set the minimum lot close to higher than your lot size that you're trading, it just won't close any of the order, but it will still use the break even and trailer stop if they're set to true. Okay, so this is the entry criteria. It's the MACD and ADX. So you've got the MACD 0 line. Basically what that means, you can see the MACD indicator. Let me just show you. So the MACD 0 line and the MACD trend, you can set these to true or false. You can have them both the same as both set to true as well, or false, in which case the EA would use just the ADX if it's set to true. You've got the fast, slow, and SMA period of the MACDs you can amend as well. So if we just look at the MACD on the chart, so the MACD 0 line condition when set to true, it would have to be above the 0 line for a buy or below the 0 line for a sell trade. And for the trend, MACD would have to be, zoom in a bit, you see this red line, that's the signal line. For the trend condition, the MACD would have to be above the trend line for a buy or below the trend line for a sell. And you can have both as well. So you can have, price needs to be, the MACD must be below the 0 line and below the signal line for there to be a sell trade, like you can see there. Just depends on how you plan on using the MACD and ADX in your strategy. The ADX, so you've got just the ADX trend here, ADX period and the ADX level. So the ADX is basically a gauge of the market trend and the momentum. Let me just take the grid off. Oops, I'm going to take the grid off there. So you see this ADX, the condition for the ADX trend is the red must be above the green for a sell trade. The green must be above the red for a buy trade. And then the ADX level, I'll just plonk a level on there for you so you can see. We put the 20 level on there. If you have the ADX level set to 20, this line here, this blue line on the ADX must be above 20 for there to be a trade based on the ADX. Why is this? This is simply because it shows that there's momentum. Generally speaking, the higher this line, this blue line on the ADX, the stronger the trend. Okay, as you zoom out there, you can see with this big line up here coincided with a nice trend downwards, red above the green. Okay, just as you can see this momentum to the upside, the line way above the 20 level and the green above the red, and nice uptrend. Okay, so the EA can be used. This would have been a nice combination trade. You could have had the ADX trend in, so ADX above 20, green above red, the MACD above the 0 line and above the signal line around here would have been a solid trade. Okay, and almost the same in this instance as well. MACD below 0, below the signal line. ADX, strong momentum, red above green, a nice sell trade there. So it does show you the power of the EA and whether you're getting it to send you trading signals or to trade automatically for you. Okay, so that basically covers the EA. You can use the indicators on their own or together. I do have, as I said at the start of the video, another EA which has almost every MT4 indicator built into it. It's going to be set to true and false. You can also amend the settings, periods, and so on and so forth. It's got price action, candlestick patterns built in, money management, automated and semi-automated trading. So help yourself to that using the link below. Okay, so we're going to run an optimization now. Basically, an optimization, what this will do in MT4 is show you the results using different combinations of settings. You just need to check the settings you want to optimize. So for example, if you check the box there, stop loss, this means we're going to optimize the stop loss, and we're going to optimize it at 25 pips up to 100 pips in 25 increments. So this will test 25, 50, 75, and 100. So take profit, we'll optimize 0, going up in 100s and stop at 300. Close an opposite signal, we can optimize true or false, so we just tick the box to do that. Break even, true or false, tick the box. Break even point, we can optimize, let's say from 50 pips. No, let's do 25 pips, 25 pip increments up to 100. Trailing stop, true or false, trailing gap, 25 up to 100. So I test 25, 50, 75, and 100. Close percent, you can say you can close 25, 25, 7. Let's start 0, 0, 25, 75, minimum lot. So you can close 0.25 up till, let's go down to 1. And then the indicators, we want to optimize the MACD true and false and the ADX true and false. And we'll also optimize the periods, why not? So we'll just put that 26, 26, 99. Should we go? Okay, I think that's fair enough. ADX, the period of the ADX, we can optimize as well. And the ADX level, why not? Right. So now what we can do, I think I'll put the ADX on 0, so 0, 24. Right. So once you've selected everything you want to optimize, click OK, click this optimization, and then click start. And what this will do is every single combination, not every single one actually, I'll get into that in a minute with the genetic algorithm setting, but it will do most combinations, and under optimization results, show you the results of using these various combinations of settings, which you can then filter by profit, trades, profit factor, expected payoff, drawdown in monetary or percentage sense. Before we go into these optimization results, just want to show you this genetic algorithm button here. When it's unchecked, it will do every single possible combination, and that can take an age depending on your computer processing power and how many settings you're optimizing, but generally leave that checked because it's a lot quicker, and genetic algorithm will just throw out or not test combinations that are unlikely to produce good results. Okay. Under this optimization tab, you can select if you want results to be filtered by, say, for example, maximum drawdown, just select that, put in the value, the maximum you're willing to accept. So say your maximum drawdown you're willing to accept 20, put 20 in there, and it will only give you results with a maximum drawdown of 20 if that's selected. Okay. I generally leave all of those unchecked simply because I like to see, what works and what doesn't. Okay. And then going back to the results, so I've sorted them by profit. Okay, you double click it, and then what that will do is that will load that combination of settings into here, and you can save them to use at a later date and load them as well when you attach the EA to your charts. So now that the settings have been put in there, we can uncheck optimization, which happens automatically when you double click the settings, and then we'll just run that settings, and those settings look great. Fantastic. We have a winning AA. No, not so fast. Stop right there. We're not going to package this up and we're not going to sell it. Okay. What we've just done then is known as curve fitting or over optimization. And that basically means throwing enough what at the wall and hoping some of it sticks. Okay, because we've just optimized a combination of settings specifically for 4 to 5 months worth of data. And I mean, by pure randomness, we're bound to get some good settings, right? However, if we let's go back 1-2 years, okay? We'll go back 2 years and then run those exact same settings and see what happens. That's what happens. And we can more or less pinpoint exactly, almost to the day, and it was there as well, where we optimize from. And that's when it starts going up, because that is the time period that we optimize the settings for. As you can see, it was completely random. Before they meant nothing. So we've just stumbled across some settings which aren't necessarily logical. It's not necessarily a solid trading strategy. It's not something we want to use going forward. Okay. So be careful of over optimization and curve fit. And it's what a lot of developers will do. They'll just take different currency pairs and different time frames and randomly combine the settings and make them look amazing when in reality it's just optimized for that data. And don't get me wrong, you can stumble across good settings that way by complete accident, but the majority of the time it's just noise. I much prefer to do what we were discussing earlier, where you can just say, okay, we're in a downtrend, I can see that with my eyeballs. What I want is I want an alert when the MACD crosses below the signal line, because that's when I'm going to enter into this downtrend, or when the momentum picks up on the ADX above 20 because that's when I'm gonna, there's more momentum. It's a chance for me to jump in on the trend. Okay, so if we just zoom in, let's look at an example when that happened. So we know the trend was coming down here. Okay, and we could see the ADX had a nice crossover here to the sell side, came above the 20 value. The MACD wasn't necessarily in agreement. It's not the best example. It did cross it here. But if we just move further down the line, well, even before here, when the MACD was crossing below the 0 line, below the signal line, the ADX, red was above the green and above 20. That was the ideal entry there. Everything was in agreement. We were nice and early in on the trend. That would have been the perfect entry. And down here as well, a similar setup, as you can see, red crossing the green, momentum, the ADX is above 20, MACD is below 0 line, crossing below the signal line here again, which is a perfectly timed entry. I would have liked to have waited for this nice support level to be breached. See, the support then becomes resistance. In fact, one might argue support, resistance, resistance, resistance. I mean, it's all the clues are there for you, and this is why the EA can help you spot these things. So go back to the optimization. Remember, we run those good optimized settings back and they weren't good. So some might be tempted to click optimization again and think, well, I know what I'll do. Let me just optimize it for even more data. Let me go back 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 10 years, 20 years. It doesn't matter. Still the same principle applies. You are likely to find some random settings that do produce good results, okay? But it doesn't necessarily mean it's a good strategy. Okay, so we just let this optimization run. As I said, you can use the EA to send you signals or to place trades for you automatically. I would personally prefer it to send signals, as I said, in line with the trend, either on a pullback or a breakout. And then I just double confirm the trade myself. For example, you might get an alert. Let's have a look. Say down here, you might get a sell alert. Oh, the MACD's below the signal, is crossed 0. The ADX, the red is above the green. The momentum is strong. It's time for a sell trade. But then when you look at the overall picture, you'd be selling at the low. So these are things that EAs can't always account for, that you actually need to put some effort in yourself. Don't want to sell at the low. You would have wanted to be in around here. Okay. If anything, you'd be looking to buy or waiting for the next breakout, which occurs here. Okay. And then, once you see the price breach this line, then you can be looking, okay, I'm going to continue in on this trend and then look for my signal somewhere here. Okay, MACD below the signal, below the 0, ADX red above the green, lots of momentum. And there you could have got in, okay? So do use your brain a bit as well. So what were we doing? We were running optimization over more data. Double click the top settings, let them run. Okay, fantastic. There you go. Well, these settings got to be great. They work over the last 3 or so years. Fantastic. This is the best EA ever. We've done the exact same thing. We've just over optimized it over more data. And whilst 1,000 trades is a good data set to try and draw an accurate conclusion, pretty sure we take it back. Let's take it back 4 more years and then run it. There you go. Exact same thing. And where did our optimization start? I'm going to go out on a limb and say around here, maybe. Yeah, that was it, wasn't it? When it started to go up, because that's what we optimized on. Whereas before, look at that. Terrible. Okay. Don't over optimize. Use your logic. I've got lots of videos that can teach you different ways to time your entry, time your exit. Just try and keep it simple. I like to personally, trade with a trend, enter on a breakout or pullback, good money management. I'm not going to take this trade here, 50 pip, take profit, exit here and leave all of that on the table. Which is why I said at the start of the video, I wouldn't use a take profit. Instead, I'd have my stop loss above the high there, which is only 10 to 15 pips, not bad for the 1 hour chart. And then as price starts falling, just trail the price. Okay, lock in profits, close part of the position if you want. I'm not going to look to re-enter down here after this big move. Okay, each to their own. Practice, demo trade. Never just throw an EA straight on a live account. And hopefully you found something useful in this video. I do appreciate you watching. If you can like and subscribe, that'd be great and really help my channel. That way I can keep developing free tools like this one for you to use. Again, help yourself using the link in the description. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care.